All along the east coast, people made their way to higher ground as the tsunami threat was issued. GeoNet now says the shake may in fact have been 2 quakes, and there is a heightened risk of more in the area. Rowan Quinn reports.
A Hicks Bay farmer, Beverly Sandoy, says the quake was frightening and confusing.
Pitch black and a big rumble. We heard windows shaking, and then you're hearing smashing, crashing. We lost a few dishes and plates. Nothing major. Furniture had moved, but nothing had fallen. Our chimney had fallen off. We didn't realise that till daylight.
Neighbours soon began arriving at their home on a hill, worried about the threat of a tsunami. She says they were all pretty shaken, and she made them breakfast as they waited to see what would happen next.
Coffee and toast, and we're all just standing there looking at the sea, waiting to see what's going to happen. We all sort of stood around out on the deck looking down. We watched a beautiful sunrise, and so it was. It was just frightening, really.
Kylie Mackay from Pahutahi, just outside Gisborne, says the quake left cracks in her walls, water tank and pavement.
Quickly bolted up in bed and sat there, and I thought, oh, I can hear our house cracking. So my husband was already awake, so I was like, honey, our house is cracking.
The quake was centred in the sea 130 kilometres northeast of Te Araroa and was 22 kilometres deep. Several schools and coastal areas were closed for the day, but there was only a small tsunami of about 30 centimetres. Kerry Kurirangi from Pōtaka near Hicks Bay helped out as her husband raised the alarm in the low-lying settlement of Lytton Point. She says people there saw the surge.
They were thinking, oh, it's high tide. But no, it's not, it's low tide. And then they would see rocks that were totally covered with water, and then a minute later it was like a super, super low tide.
Mrs Kurirangi says people then gathered at Pōtaka Marae, which is protected from the sea by a hill.
Because it's their marae, they all brought a bit of food with them and some warm clothing, and everybody just had a good whakawhanaunga time where they just all talked amongst themselves.
She says as the threat lifted, people headed home but have been warned to come back if they feel any major aftershock. GeoNet says aftershocks could continue for months, but most under magnitude 4 won't be felt because the epicentre is so far offshore. Its scientists now suspect the shake could have been caused by 2 earthquakes, one triggering the other. Seismologist John Ristow says the clue is in the tsunami.
Usually earthquakes of that style of faulting don't produce tsunamis. So that makes us think that there actually might be, another type of fault plane involved that involved more uplift of the seafloor.
GeoNet says there's a chance the quake could also trigger another large earthquake as the pressure released from this one piles up along another fault. Mō te hōtaka o te ata, ko Rowan Quinn tēnei.